An error occurred.
Whoa.
I haven't had that. We're live.
We're live. I got my flu shot and COVID shot yesterday, booster.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a little bit woozy.
You know, it's funny. I got the flu shot beginning of October, end of September, and I felt the post-flu shot like sort of cold type symptoms like within like 15 seconds.
Yeah.
And it actually lasted like 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I'm 24 hours. I woke up not feeling great.
Yeah.
But I think Advil does the trick. So I'm okay. I'm soldiering through for a 4-in-1 podcast.
I am
a little matinee. Rarely is it
a Saturday matinee for us. Yeah. Almost never. I actually have to, what's it called? I'm having the surgery on the 21st, but they have told me that if somebody cancels in a date prior to that, they will call me, and you're not supposed to have any medicine whatsoever unless it's necessary the week before. So I am no ibuprofen at all. I'm not even allowed.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sure it wouldn't be that big a deal.
I don't think it raw.
Yeah.
Raw as can be. It's ballsy.
Where is the brand thing? I was telling CJ earlier, we need a new fucking intro video.
Yeah. I mean, in fairness to CJ, we need a new intro, maybe like once a month at least.
In fairness to CJ, the check's clear, baby. Like, come on, let's go. Fairness to CJ.
Yeah.
We're plenty fair to CJ.
Gotta change it up every couple weeks. Just swap in.
Let's go, you little rug rat.
Vote on what's necessary anymore.
Yeah.
Do we still want Mike Scott in there? Has that time passed? I don't know.
I can tell you who I don't want in there. James Harden. So the Rights to Ricky. Well, keeping him talking to the kids in China, maybe.
Yeah, talking to the kids in China for sure.
Yeah.
Ben passing it up. Just like the biggest moments of the last 10, 11 years.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented proudly by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. And brought to you by Briggs Auction, the official auction of the process at briggsauction.com. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged. And Stateside Urban Craft Vodka, the home of Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, and the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. Subscribe at rightstoRickySanchez.com/newsletter. On the show today, just another win over the Suns. Sixers, 4-1. Everybody's in. Maybe it's the year. Who would have guessed? Feels pretty good. And we introduce a new segment called Star Hunter, which I think you will enjoy. And as well, I don't know if you knew, the in-season tournament already started. I don't even know what the fuck this thing is. It's weird. So we'll talk about that. Couple things. First of all, I mentioned Stateside, Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka. If you want a lightly sweet little alcoholic treat to keep in your fridge, there's nothing better. If you live in Philly, you know Surfside is the best. Not only do they have the best logo, they have the best drink. Lightly sweet, a few grams of sugar, 100 calories, tastes perfect. The best of its kind, no carbonation, because iced tea doesn't have bubbles. You lunatic, go to statesidevodka.com, get the sampler pack. That way you get the iced tea and vodka, the peach tea and vodka, the iced tea lemonade and vodka, and lemonade and vodka. Surfside, you got to be 21. Kinetic Special goes through tomorrow, Sunday, the hiker special, 20% off a selection of awesome hiking shoes from Kinetic, New Balance, Numeric, DC, Vans. The link is in the description of the pod, and use code Ricky Trail. And Fly the Process Los Angeles, our t-shirts have been designed. We'll put a logo on the website soon. We're going to LA with fans of Philly to see Sixers, Clippers. Going to have a good old time. This is going to be a fun one. Never been to the West Coast before for Fly the Process. It's going to be great. Go to rightsrickysanchez.com/fly. Only costs $150 to reserve your spot. And if you're coming from not Philly or Newark or whatever. If you're already on the West Coast, Joe can do custom packages for you. If you don't need travel at all, he can do that as well. Send an email to joe@fansofphilly.com. They won again. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy that is so back, he's in front of you. That is one matinee Mike Levin.
Matinee Mike.
Matinee Mike.
A sloppy first half.
Oh, it was ugly. It looked like a Saturday 1 p.m. game when one of the teams is a West Coast team, by the way. Yeah. Boy, did it ever. Yeah.
College basketball is about to start, and it really did feel like, and this is around the time that college basketball games start. You wake up early on the West Coast, watch them like Seton Hall, St. John's, and that's what this game felt like. But a nice win, man. A nice win. I mean, the Suns are shorthanded.
Just sort of getting used to wins. I don't know. This team wins so often. It's not even like a big deal to me anymore. Just sort of like, whatever. They just win.
Yeah. I mean, they're good. It's the feelings are positive.
Yeah.
It is a new and unique feeling to be watching this game, to expect them to win, to not feel so much resentment towards them or like a big black cloud over them. It's just really nice. Things are positive. Everybody looks pretty good. There's nobody, even though there's like things to quibble with, but
when somebody's looking bad, somebody else looks good, sort of make up for them. Things good teams do. I don't know.
These are just dangerously normal.
Yeah.
Famous last words in Sixer land. I'm happy to get the win tonight. And it felt one of those, like, this felt the same way against the Raptors, but it felt like I was never concerned about them losing this game.
Nope.
And despite the fact that they don't have a backup point guard, that when Maxey's not out there, they kind of do fall off a cliff. Just not quite connected yet. Hopefully Nick Batum helps that a little bit if he's not going to Danny Granger us, but I don't think he will. He said, like, in his statement, he said,
all he said was go Sixers.
Yeah, go Sixers. That's enough for me. That's enough for me to not think. Andre Kirilenko never said go Sixers, so let's make it clear. But yeah, they're gonna have to find a way to get consistent offense without Maxey on the floor. But overall, they hustle. They're athletic.
Pretty good.
They share the ball a decent amount. They get to loose balls and floorboards. That's fun to see. They defend. Just a nice team's good. Team's pretty good.
I have an announcement to make. I don't think I'm there yet. Very close to being like, okay, Oubre, what are we gonna do?
I mean, you can't not be at this point. And we know there's gonna be a bad stretch. We're due for it for sure. There was a moment.
Could be 2 months long.
Could be the rest of the season. Could be This could be it. But you cannot take these 5 games away from me.
No.
And he's been very helpful through 5. There was one moment when Tobias got mad at Kelly for not swinging the ball to him open in the corner. Did you see that?
Yes. Well, and there's no way there's not a little animosity between those guys because of the firing his dad thing. Has to be.
I don't know. To me, if I'm Tobias, I'm more mad about Kelly Oubre coming in on a minimum and immediately taking more shots per game than I am. My agent dad who's doing fine. I'm mad that you fired him.
It's a little weird. It's all. It's just a different dynamic to it. I did see it, by the way. Yeah.
But Oubre's been great, dude. Like, he is decisive.
An alley-oop. The only alley-oop of the year, I think.
The only alley-oop in Sixers history. That was very nice for me to see. I've been calling for it forever. And not just the alley-oop, which was a great pass from Maxey, and rewarding. Like, it was big for Maxey to make that pass and big for him to reward Oubre for beating the guys down the court and rolling to the rim. That was really nice. And then Maxey later on had a nice leave for a Kelly dunk on a 2-on-1. And Kelly had another dunk in traffic down the lane.
Mm-hmm. And
I like that shit.
Yep.
I like that shit. I would love for,
How about Embiid in N1 as well? Dunk.
Absolutely. I would, D'Anthony Melton has not had a great start to the season. And again, with Melton, it's either he's missing the bunny or it goes in and he gets called for a charge. There's really no in between. I would like for Melton to start trying to dunk it every time. Just be like, you're super athletic. He's not that big, but he's super athletic. He's pretty long. He should be trying to go up for powerful dunks, at least getting fouled in those situations. He just has no touch around the rim. It's pretty rough. But Oubre is doing that. He has really nice touch on the ball within 5 feet. He gives it a chance off the glass. He cuts really nicely off of other guys' drives. The difference between him being in the dunker spot and like PJ Tucker or even Simmons in the dunker spot is so nice because he is both athletic and also has nice shot making around the rim. There's not only like one way for him to succeed. And so him cutting into that dunker spot and being used by guys penetrating is really, really nice. And he's contesting hard. He's providing some rim protection from the wing spot. You can be Kelly skeptical and worried how long it's going to hold up.
Yeah.
But he's been excellent. He has been absolutely great. And if he's not going to get a bunch of assists, at least he's not turning the ball over right now. So I
not
think
a bunch of assists is certainly one way to play.
Not a bunch, yeah. Certainly just shy of a bunch.
So Maxey,
23rd birthday.
Happy birthday, Tyrese Maxey, was very impressed with the way that he battled through obviously the first half was ugly for everyone. Yeah. It was particularly ugly for him. Mm-hmm. He ended up passing up a wide open three after missing a couple of them. He had missed all the threes in his last game as well. I was a little nervous. He was a little passive in the first half. And then tell me if you think I'm right, but here is what I believe brought Maxey back in the second half. I have made many mentions that I kind of missed last year's B-ball Paul on offense. And I thought this game, specifically in the second half, B-ball was setting really nice screens for Maxey. It gave Maxey an open, just sort of a lane to get to the basket, got a couple of layups, got going. Eventually the threes went in. I was glad that Maxey was having a bad game and was able to reach out, grind through it, and get back and have a good second half and look like the Maxey we've seen the rest of the season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, B-ball played really well and simplified the game for him and for Maxey and allowed Embiid to sit for the entire fourth quarter, which was really nice. Maxey was timid on his jumper. The one time that you're talking about, I think he thought there was a guy behind him about to block him from behind, and that's why he pulled up on it. But then he hit one on a good B-ball screen, pulling up around that, and then another three over Kevin Durant, which is awesome. 10 assists, tied a career high.
How many turnovers?
3. But a couple of those.
Well, 10 to 3 is fine.
At least 2 of those turnovers were on like passes that Maxey got fouled on that they didn't call. Like some really bad, like a pocket pass that like rolled on the ground and was very clearly like his hand got whacked. Didn't get that call there, but I love seeing him driving into the chest of big men and having the strength to hang and get it up softly after that. He's got a really nice touch inside. Couple big rebounds, couple big offensive rebounds that he went right back up with it. Like the difference, like we're gonna keep talking about this, but like James Harden is obviously like even still in this later part of his career, an excellent distributor. But the presence of Maxey on the court being your lead guard is just so much more positive. Like getting to loose balls, making plays like off of broken plays, and just turning the corner quickly. Moving around, like he was great. He's great. And then, he was cold from 3 for a little bit and then got hot and then took over in the fourth and allowed them to sit Joel. He was a plus 25, which is really impressive. I thought this was probably Maxey's worst defensive game this season. It just felt like he was involved in a bunch of miscommunications, always on the wrong side of it, that led to wide open threes for them. Seemed like Durant was trying to target him as much as possible and then got easy looks out of that, but that'll happen. He'll work through it. They need a backup point guard. I would love for it to be DeLon Wright. I wonder what Daryl is thinking about with that.
He's not going to rush into anything.
He's definitely not going to rush. Absolutely not. But they now have too many wings, which is crazy to say. It was nice in that sense because Tobias and Oubre both got into foul trouble early on Durant. I thought generally and then they had Covington able to come in and play rotation minutes. I thought generally they fouled too much. The Suns got to the line 33 times, which is just too many times for a Suns team without Booker and Beal. The Suns were not shooting well, and I thought, as much as I like the Nick Nurse aggressiveness style, it felt like, hey, you forced him into a tough shot. You don't need to slap down also and possibly draw a foul. Let him just take a contested mid-range. And that, I think, made the game closer than it would have been. But, yeah, I wonder if they use some of that wing depth to try to go, okay, let's get a point guard to stabilize it. And also a guy that could play with Maxey as well. Not necessarily I keep using Howell Neto as the example of a player I don't want. Not that he's bad, but just seems a little pointless when it counts. And DeLon, or even Monte Morrison a little bit because he competes defensively, would be helpful for this team, just stabilizing in those non-Maxey minutes, which are few and far between because Nick Nurse is playing him as much as he possibly can.
It was fun that you just said wing depth. I'm not sure that I've ever heard that in relation to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Dan House just sitting on the bench, just using
So
his 3-and-D skills for nothing right now, and just handling the aux cord and nothing else.
So I'm going to complain about DraftKings Sportsbook for a second, even though they're a presenting sponsor and we're proud of them. I'm looking through the odds for the NBA MVP for DraftKings Sportsbook and the in-season tournament MVP at DraftKings Sportsbook. And I got to tell you, Tyrese Maxey is not listed on either of them. That is, DeJounte Murray is a potential in-season tournament MVP. Klay Thompson, Jordan Poole. The fuck is Maxey, guys? I want to direct people to bet on Maxey for in-season tournament MVP or for season MVP.
Wow.
CJ McCollum is plus 15,000. Alperen Sengun is plus 20,000. I can't get some Maxey odds here. Come on. Sixers are plus 1,800 to win the in-season tournament, plus 2,000 to win the title. They've gotten a little longer to win the title as they've won. I don't like that at all. DraftKings Sportsbook, still proud of you, though. They are an official sports betting partner of the NBA. An unbeatable offer. Use code RTRS for new customers when you sign up. Get $200 instantly in bonus bets for throwing down $5 on the NBA. Doesn't matter if you win. Doesn't matter if you lose. Bet $5 on the NBA, get $200 in bonus bets with code RTRS. And with DraftKings parlays, everyone's got a shot at bigger basketball wins. Put a bunch of bets together, watch the odds go up, sit there, biting your knuckles or whatever, biting your fingernails, grinding. What do you do with your knuckles? Mike, what do you do with your knuckles when you're nervous?
Punch.
I don't know about that. Basketball is more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code RTRS. New customers get $200 in bonus bets instantly for betting just $5 only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code RTRS. The crown is yours. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Got to be 21. See show notes for details. Embiid. So you were mentioning the non-Maxey minutes. So what seems to happen is Embiid plays the entire first quarter. I think he plays the entire third too. Mm-hmm. And Maxey will go out, 7-8 minute or whatever. I just think at those times, the offense just be super Embiid at the nail centric and everybody moving around? Without a backup point guard, they can bring the ball up the court. I just don't know why you're playing Embiid there if the ball isn't just going to run through Embiid every time.
I mean, I thought it did, and they were just doubling him hard, and they were having trouble getting him the ball. I think sometimes when he tries to do too much dribbling into traffic. Even as skilled as he is, he's still like a fucking 7'2" guy who is easily tripped up, and I don't want him, A, getting hurt, and B...
I lied about Maxey, by the way. He's plus 5,000 to win the in-season MVP at DraftKings Sportsbook.
There you go. Bet
I'm
it.
a fucking asshole. I'm the asshole. I'm the asshole. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would, I think the fact that Tobias and Kelly were in some foul trouble hurt that, and it felt like it was Embiid and a bunch of guys that really weren't either playing well or don't have much perimeter creation abilities. They'll be able to get by. They'll be able to figure stuff out, but I think in the long run, especially if Maxey ends up missing a week or two with an injury here or there, like they're just going to need somebody to control tempo and run the offense. And it seems like Melton is not that guy right now.
Melton's never going to be that guy.
Korkmaz could bring the ball up. Tobias can bring the ball up, but you're not wanting them to, aside from exploiting a mismatch or saying, hey, getting a healthy switch on a pick and roll or something like that. You don't want them every time down having to do something. But I thought it was a good Embiid game.
It was fine. Yep.
He's just very good. He had some crazy threes. He was 3 of 3 from deep. I loved the big spin past Eubanks and a dunk down the lane with the after getting $35,000 fine for the crotch chop celebration earlier this week. He sort of hinted at a thrust celebration, which I very much enjoyed. It's good to see him having fun and being himself again. One of them, just a couple moments, like he had a really nice floater off the glass with Nurkic on his hip. And when I brought that up, there was an article from Jackson Frank earlier this season about him working on a floater, and it through 5 games have seen a little bit of that, which is nice. A little bit more touch, a little bit more not only getting into like his sort of rock away step back, rock like leaner type of thing. So I think that's making him a little more versatile and will be helpful down the road. And he had 4 turnovers. I think almost all of them were just off of trying to do too much with dribbling through traffic, but had a really nice pass to a cutting Melton from the high post that he let go of as soon as the double team came. And I love seeing that. I want to see more of that. But I also like that they didn't need to bring him back in, and B-Ball Paul was a plus 13 and Embiid was a plus 4. Maybe a quarterback controversy.
So let me ask you this. Before we get to Tobias, because I want to talk about Tobias. I saw a funny post in Sixers Reddit about Tobias, by the way. Jaden Springer, while every time he's in, there's some sort of defensive highlight.
Yeah.
There is an offensive fluidity that was there in the preseason that seems completely gone now. He looks sort of baffled on offense. There were a couple times where he was like aggressive when I was like, no, that's not your thing to do. Yeah. He doesn't seem like he understands what he's supposed to do or what his place is on offense. And while those defensive highlights are spectacular for sure, offense, he looks kind of clueless.
So I disagree a little bit. Like, I think everybody looked clueless offensively for a lot of today, and everybody looked disjointed. And even though he hasn't looked excellent, there's been a couple like whistles that have blown dead plays that I thought he was in progress of doing something good. And he's been snake bit by that a little bit. I would love for him to play alongside Maxey more rather than Pat Bev. I think there's a kind of a diminishing returns with him and Beverly on the court at the same time. He's just his activity and strength just always allow him, sort of in a B-ball Paul type of way, to just steal a bucket. They're just going to get a bucket because he like gets an opportune tip on either the offensive or defensive end, and he makes it so hard on guys when he matches up with them and bodies them so good. And he's going to call for fouls, like that's going to happen. He's aggressive. I'm fine with it, but to me, it's like he is so special defensively that I think if you set him up a little bit more on the offensive end, help him out some. There was like a time when he was just like, he picked up his dribble and then nobody was coming to the ball, or he was trying to get it into Embiid for too long. Like, I understand it was an ugly few possessions for Springer, but I think it's the kind of thing where I want to see him work through that. And whether that means,
I'm not saying not to play him, by the way. I'm just saying what I've seen so far.
I mean, definitely not as fluid as in the preseason. I think part of that is just like regular season defense is better. But I see a willingness to shoot from the outside. He sort of, that aggressiveness that you mentioned, he got into like, okay, I'm going to do my Evan Turner thing. He got into that little mid-range, like bad release, like destined to be blocked type of thing. I would also like to see him avoid that, but I think there is a benefit to going, say that they want to make a small trade, right? Mm-hmm. Whether that's like a Brogdon or a Bogdanovich or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Not the big Siakam, Levine, whatever trade. If you can convince a team that is rebuilding a little bit that Jaden Springer is a valuable add, a nice sweetener in that trade, so where you don't have to throw in an additional first, maybe one first but not two, like that kind of thing, then that is valuable, and it is worth playing him during the regular season to see if he can help this team or put enough on tape to where he can be enticing to other teams and be a value add in the trade. So especially because you really don't need him and Melton and Beverly all in the rotation right now. I would rather have one of those guys. I would rather have somebody that can handle the ball a little bit better and pass guys open a little bit. So I think it's fine for now. And Nick Nurse is still working in the new rotation guys, but that's something I'm looking at. Even though Melton, I think, has, from a passing perspective, has done pretty well, better than I expected. He's the one guy on this team, like as a guard, that consistently makes the high-low pass to a big ceiling inside, which I always like. It's one of my favorite kinds of passes. So something to monitor. I would probably rather one. It's fun watching Pat Bev like cover Durant, however successful he is or not.
Well, there's that one possession where he was harassing the shit out of him. Melton was sort of hinting at it, and then Covington got the steal.
Yeah,
and it was just cool. Like the trio of Melton, Pat Bev, and Covington is a fun defensive trio.
Yeah, there's a lot of defense. There's a lot of defensive options, which is what you want outside. Athletic defensive options and like some quick offense, decisive, purposeful cutting and straight line drives from like Tobias and Oubre. And then you have Maxey and Embiid. Like that's a recipe for success. I'm really liking the way the team is developing. And I thought Covington, even though missed a couple threes, turned the ball over, trying to do too much on the drive.
We're back, baby.
We're back though. He's he came up with a couple big rebounds, a couple deflection city. Like we're back. I mean, it's fun. It's cool. It's so cool that he's there. It is like truly special. Maybe people that didn't like Covington when he was here also feel like sort of dispirited by having to root for him, not only in an era where his play matters, but also as everybody else is enjoying the positive memories of Covington moments in the past.
Yeah. Fuck him.
But like, it's great. I like it. I like seeing him out there. I like seeing him in the same number. I like seeing him like help Joel up. Like, he's one of our guys.
He rushed over to help Joel up. I remember that possession you're talking about. So I saw this on Sixers Reddit. This was posted by Pain Is All I Know 0.
Great.
So it said that the subject line or the headline is, "Where are we in the Tobias cycle?" The text is, "I don't understand how people think Tobias is a new player all of a sudden. He does this every year, and then he crumbles under better competition. He is not a young player with upside. I don't want to re-sign him unless he takes a super team-friendly deal." And we look at this as the Embiid list lineup in the third quarter to fourth quarter was really positive, and a lot of that offense was coming from Tobias. We are now in they're 4-1, right? Their fifth game of quick decision Tobias.
Yeah, only 0 of 1 from 3 tonight, which
whoops, that's
worse than love.
Worse than 1 of 2.
Although let's blame Kelly Oubre for not swinging the ball a couple times to him. Let's give him cut him some slack there.
Question being, is it Lucy pulling the football away from Charlie Brown for us to start believing in Tobias? And contract year Tobias is like the worst result of contract year Tobias being that he never stops doing this, and then they re-sign Tobias, and then we get 3 more years and it's not contract year Tobias anymore. What's going to happen with Tobias?
Who knows? Can't worry about signing him. I do not think they will.
Okay.
I hope that he gets paid in like a fair $20 million a year type of thing from someone.
By the way,
don't
if they
think
make
it
a
will be
star trade, there's a significant chance that he is in that trade anyway
For sure.
because of his salary. Sure.
absolutely possible.
Yep.
I expect that won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
I expect if Tobias gets traded, if there's a star trade, I think I would expect it's a sort of a combination of salaries in that like 10 to 18 range rather than Tobias. I expect Tobias will just expire and be a free agent next year and get signed somewhere else. But for now, we are benefiting from contract year Tobias.
Yep.
We are enjoying ourselves. He is being absolutely more decisive and what's like not thoughtful in a good way. Like he's just really doing what needs to be done quickly.
Yeah.
And he's punishing mismatches. He's being physical. If there's not a shot blocker back there, like he's taking it in. Like he's going all the way, whether it's Kevin Durant or whoever. He has a bunch of tough finishes with his left. I've been jinxing Tobias for now like 3 straight podcasts. So I'm just like, it is what it is. Like I won't be blamed for it, or I'll take it. I don't care. He like hasn't missed inside. He's had such nice finishes with both the left and the right through contact, everything, gotten to the line a little bit. Like he's getting into his fadeaways without doing too much beforehand. Just like 6 to 8 feet, whatever. It feels like those are automatic. He's just been really, really, really helpful presence out there. And I was more down on this team, on these players, for a longer stretch of time than I had ever been in the history of this podcast, which is like a third of my life.
Yep. And that, by the way, that's not an exaggeration. It's literally a third of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, why shouldn't I walk right up to that goddamn football and assume that it's going to stay there this time? It's not going to get pulled. Tobias is going to be like this the rest of the year. I have to. If I'm back, I'm back. And contract year Tobias, decisive, hardened list Tobias. He looks good. I'm in. I'm believing. I'm believing in it being real.
Wow. Real Tobias, not just contract year.
Coaching, Nick Nurse.
Yes.
I think also a part of it.
So I have one very important roster question that I will ask right after we talk about Briggs Auction. Now, CJ, if you might notice, you don't see him the whole pod or whatever, or hear from him if you just listen to the pod. He's not here. We don't know where the fuck he is. He's supposed to do the Briggs Auction item of the week, but he is not going to do the Briggs Auction item of the week because he's not fucking here. Briggs Auction is we love Briggs Auction, 4th-generation family-owned and operated auction house in Garnet Valley, PA. Big announcement for Briggs Auction, or 2 announcements. BriggsAuction.com, download the app Store, Google Play, whatever. First announcement, I won another auction lot. It's amazing. This is 2 in 2 months. I'm pretty psyched.
Wow.
And they had a bunch of t-shirts in this one. I tried on a couple of different lots, but this one had 3 old radio station t-shirts. One of them, WBCN, which was a big alternative radio station in the 2000s and 90s while I was working in rock radio too. It was really awesome. First of all, won an auction. Second of all, if you're listening to this pod, you're going to be very excited about this. Black Friday sports memorabilia auction at Briggs Auction. Now, a lot of their auctions, the Discovery auctions most notably, there's Discovery, there's the estate auctions, all that kind of stuff, tons of different kinds of things, collectibles, art. There are always sports collectibles in there, almost always, but the Black Friday auction, specifically sports collectibles, that is coming up now. What I would suggest you do, what I do for Briggs Auction every week, is check in every week on whatever that auction is going to be. But the Black Friday one, I assume those items will go up the Monday before Black Friday. The auction will end on Black Friday. Check it out. Briggs Auction always finds one-of-a-kind stuff everywhere. CJ gets little fucking furniture, little fucking clothes for his little fucking house. A lot of stuff. Love Briggs Auction. Go to briggsauction.com. Pick up very easy by appointment during the week or Saturday open pickup. They don't ship. They work with shippers to get you the stuff if that's the way you want it. And they handle local estate auctions and downsizing clients. So if you're one of those people, send an email to info@briggsauction.com, info@briggsauction.com. We love it. Briggs Auction, Briggs Auction. Here is the important roster question. Mike, is Nicholas Batum just going to retire?
I don't think so.
You think he's going to come?
Yeah.
Is he taking the Alec Burks?
Yeah.
Path?
There's got to be the Glenn Robinson III, Alec Burks. There's got to be one, man. There's something about it. It's whether or not it's because like our country doesn't have good enough train infrastructure, high-speed rail keeping Nick Batum from arriving in Philadelphia, or the fact that he just thought it was his last year and his wife is just like, I don't fucking want to move to fucking Philadelphia for 6 months or whatever.
You know what I tell her? Don't move.
I get.
Stay in LA.
Yeah.
Visit.
I think, don't they have a young kid?
Oh. Well, yeah, but even more reason for her to stay in LA. He's not going to be here forever.
Yeah. Rent an apartment. He's making $11 million.
Do both.
He's fine.
Yes.
But I don't mind it taking time. I also am a fan of delayed rewards. And so we got a little Covington. We got a very small amount of KJ Martin.
Nick Batum edging is what this is.
Yeah, just like give me, hey, Nick Batum in a week, you get a nice little treat. If you're good, you get a Batum treat. I'm excited about that. I think he is going to be helpful, and as good as Oubre has been, I would feel more comfortable him coming off the bench.
Yes.
And Oubre or Covington being in the starting lineup.
Well, by the way, you'd be happier with Oubre coming off the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we need the points off the bench. I mean, I just think when you look at the bench, the guys on the bench, there's a lot of playable guys there, but Oubre, you always want one guy that can come in and get on a heater or whatever on the bench, and they don't have one right now with Oubre in the starting lineup. So I agree. I hope you're right, because I'm pretty nervous about the Oubre thing. I have bad
The Batum
vibes.
thing?
Yeah, the Batum thing. Yeah. A little nervous.
If he does retire, it's pretty funny.
Yes, it's very funny.
He is 35 now.
I'm 47. I'm not retired.
You're not
No.
helping the Sixers win primarily.
That's a good point. Yep.
And there are plenty of wings. They got plenty of wings. It'll be fine. If he doesn't come, it'll be fine. I don't know what it means for like tradable contract if he retires.
Well, I would ask him not to retire and just whisper to whoever you're trading him to, hey, he's going to retire. Just have him make up an injury and just not show up.
Yeah,
Gotta
I'm not
lie.
sure.
Gotta
But
lie.
I think he's gonna play. I'm not worried about it. I just think it's adding to the Sixers lore of trading for players and them taking several weeks to show up. But yeah, all good. I'm excited to see what this. I borderline want some players to get hurt so we can like ease the rotation a little bit. So give somebody a week off.
Are you ready to go into a new segment of the podcast?
Sure. I like the in-season tournament court, by the way. Although was that
God, that's a bad take. We'll get to that in a second, though.
Well, ours,
What?
not other teams.
Yes. Okay.
The Sixers one was. Was this not their?
No, this wasn't the in-season
This was
tournament game.
okay. This was just the
court, the city edition court.
The city edition court. Okay, I thought it was nice.
Yeah.
I thought it was nice. I thought the jerseys were pretty nice. I don't think there's going to be diminishing returns and they have to do a new jersey every fucking year. It's just not going to be good.
We call this segment Star Hunter. Now that the Sixers have picks and assets to trade and are good and need one more big player, what I'd like to do every pod or maybe once a week is go through the teams in the league who may be ripe for the picking.
Yeah.
Maybe some stars that we see if we could poach. I have a few on the list that I would like to ask you about. We also have a caller have an idea. It's been, the 75th time that this player has been wanted back, but we'll bring that up. So first thing, Mike, you brought this up last time. The Grizzlies are 0-6.
Yeah, crazy.
I ask you, do you think it's possible the Sixers trade for Marcus Smart? Even crazier, would they trade for Ja Morant?
I can't imagine Memphis would trade Ja at like sort of the lowest point of his value,
Mm-hmm.
Smart is interesting, After this year, he's got 2 years around 20 and 21 million. This would allow them to still acquire somebody else.
Yeah.
And to sign them to max money. Smart would be sort of in between as like that, fourth or fifth highest paid kind of guy. He hasn't been good. He is part of the reason why they're 0-6.
Yeah,
I think
but
he
that's
also
fine.
has
We need less from him here than the Grizzlies currently need from him
right now. Yeah, if I'm Memphis, obviously they're 0-6 and that's bad.
Yeah,
But they're down Steven Adams, they're down Ja, obviously. I think that you don't trade for Marcus Smart and never see him play with Ja. I think they're 14 games away from of Ja's suspension to see what that looks like. And you got to figure Ja, Smart, Bane, pick a power forward, and Jaren Jackson is a really good lineup. So I'd be interested in seeing that before I make any rash decisions. And I think they are a pretty good organization.
Yeah.
But they are banged up. And you could go, you know what? The West is really, really good. Let's just take 1 year and make it a
do-over year. Yeah.
And trade a couple things, restock for next year, and figure it out. I could see that. I also think that is a little bit of a fantasy basketball way of looking at things.
Sure.
That I doubt that Memphis will do.
Nah, they're not going to give up on a year. Yeah. Okay. 833 Lickface as we continue Star Hunter. Mike, what do you think of this one?
Hey guys, Ash in Virginia again, here for my new thing where I bring up unlikely and laughable possibilities that maybe in this twisted world comes true for the Sixers. Miami is really struggling. They have assets people don't really seem to want in Tyler Hero. Maybe that's an assumption, but do we think there is a chance Daryl can bring Jimmy home to get Joel that title? Non-basketball Q, favorite Halloween candy or candy in general, thoughts on candy? Take care.
Now, there are very few teams where I think Jimmy Butler would fit in. Like, you could add him to any team.
Uh-huh.
This particular team, given the skill sets of everyone around him,
oh yeah,
he would fit pretty well.
Yeah.
I would be surprised. Mike, do you think the Sixers could go star hunting in Miami?
I think it's worth a call. Why not? Why wouldn't it be worth a call?
It's worth a call.
He's got 2 years after this one. Next year, $49 million or so, and then a player option for $52.
Yeah.
He is pretty old. I just can't see Miami being a team that would.
Nah,
they've made the conference finals 3 out of the last 4 years. Got to the finals last year. I find it hard to imagine that they trade one of their two core guys in Jimmy and Bam. I could see them trading anybody else, but it feels unlikely. And they had a bad regular season last year and still
went to the finals.
Even losing a play-in game and then getting to the finals.
So
I like it, and I do think they're going to be bad this year. I do think that this
is not something they're going to fix.
Yeah, I'm in like a pick'em, like a regular season predictions thing with some of my friends, and I picked Miami to not make the playoffs, and I think that will. They don't look good, They'll figure it out a little bit, but if one, they're so thin, one more person gets hurt, it's not looking good.
We talked already. I don't want to belabor it. I don't want to belabor Bulls and Raptors and do that every week. However, there's 2 more teams that I want to bring up in star hunting. First, the Cavs are 2-4.
What are the balloons?
That was the weirdest. I didn't do anything.
What? Balloons just popped up on your screen.
Why did someone do that was watching?
I don't know. I'm not pressing anything.
I didn't do anything.
On this.
What the fuck's going on? Why are there
function?
Balloons?
Unreal.
Anyway, the Cavs are 2-4, and then I have one more.
Yeah.
The Cavs are 2-4. The team doesn't quite make sense. It didn't make sense last year. It's a talented team, but they have 2 bigs that don't shoot threes. They signed Niang. He's not playing well. Donovan Mitchell looks like there's rumors, whatever. You would imagine that either they will at some point trade Donovan Mitchell or Darius Garland. Do you think the Sixers could star hunt in Cleveland?
I don't think that they will trade Darius Garland. I think that Donovan Mitchell has always felt like a rental, like a multi-year rental.
Mm-hmm.
And they went for it, and they had a good team last year, and they've been banged up also, so they're kind of scuffling out of the gate. They lost a pretty good game to the Pacers last night. I really like the Pacers. I do think the Pacers are going to make the playoffs if Halliburton stays healthy. I would find it unlikely that they move Mitchell, but he would be the one they move. I think that they think of Garland as a tent pole guy that they could. I mean, he's signed for 5 more years. So
the way I would think about Garland is, and I love Garland.
Mitchell's an expiring contract next year because he'll opt out of his player option for the following year.
The way I would think about Garland, and I love him, and I would generally agree with you, is that if you, first of all, and I think it would be a weird backcourt with Maxey anyway, but it'd be great. I mean, they're both great, but it's like you're creating the 2015 Blazers or something. But I guess I would think if you're Cleveland and what you want to do is hold on to Donovan Mitchell, then the best way to stock around him is by trading a player that maybe you don't need if your best player is Donovan Mitchell, and maybe they find a way to add a second star that is more complementary to Mitchell than Darius Garland is.
I mean, I think it works out. I think Mitchell just needs to be engaged on the defensive end. Like Garland Mitchell to me makes more sense than Maxey Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Maxey is obviously not as athletic or as strong as Mitchell, but their shooting profile is pretty similar. Whereas Garland is much more like change of pace and distributing, and they can play off each other in a pretty nice way. I think Maxey would make it work with anybody, but that skill set wise makes more sense. If I'm them, I would probably try to consider finding a top 40 player if you can trade, that in like a wing spot. Like, if you can trade Jared Allen in like a Siakam type trade, obviously it's going to be tough to do, but going like Mobley Siakam as a front court rather than Mobley Allen, I think would make some more sense. But Max Strus was a fine signing. George Niang was a fine signing. They had to pay to get those guys. Karis LeVert is a fine player. Like they're trying to cobble it together. I think Cavs are a team that will hit their stride and be fine. I don't think there's the teams that, like, I'm not looking at any team right now and going, they're going to start to panic. Maybe Memphis, although they could just believe in Ja's return and jumping back up the rankings. But there's not that many teams that are already hitting the panic button, I think.
And then I have one more that I would like to bring up. One more star hunting team right after we talk about our sponsor, LL Pavorsky Jewelers, LL. Mike, I'd like to tell you, though I'm already married to my wife and she already has an engagement ring, obviously, we just celebrated our 9th wedding anniversary, and LL got my gift from LL Pavorsky Jewelers. It was actually something that LL didn't normally carry, but LL is such a whiz as far as, jewelry goes. LL found it for me. LL is the original sponsor of the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. The first one, convinced us that we needed sponsors. Took us a while. Yeah. Over 360 Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners have purchased engagement rings from LL Pavorsky Jewelers, and all of them have happy marriages. All of them are going to be married forever. All of them had a great experience with LL. The reason I love LL so much is that the personal service and the care he shows with every customer is not matched when you go to jewelry stores. Most times when you go to a jewelry store, you walk in, the salespeople are right on your fucking ass. They pressure you, all that kind of stuff. Not LL. He truly, my fucking dog, man. Rebel. He truly takes time with every customer. He truly gives the sort of attention and focus with every customer that you would want. Engagement ring is a lot of money. It's a big purchase, and you want somebody who is going to be caring and give you that sort of customer service, and LL is that. A wonderful guy, wonderful jewelry, great prices, everything great. In fact, he's so intent on giving you the sort of service you want, it's by appointment only. He doesn't want you just showing up. It's nice to see everybody, but he doesn't want you just showing up. To make an appointment, send an email to lee@llpavorsky.com. Tweet at him @llpavorsky. Call him 215-627-2252. If you don't want to come into the store, you can do it online as well. He is a supporter of our charities, Providence Animal Center and Mama T's Community Fridge. LL Pavorsky Jewelers.
The kind of guy you go star hunting for.
Okay. One final star hunting team. At 2-4, you have to ask yourself, if Daryl Morey in the Sixers front office is watching this situation in New York, whether someone like Jalen Brunson may look around him say this is untenable and ask out for a better situation like Philadelphia. Jalen, what's his name? Julius Randle, fucking 3 of 15 every game. RJ Barrett hasn't gotten better in 4 years. What's his name? The center.
Mitchell Robinson.
Mitchell Robinson. Come on. Just like some guy. Mike, could the Sixers go start hunting in New York? Turn the tables on Leon Rose, who is monitoring the situation here, and monitor their fucking situation.
I like the troll job.
Yes.
I find it unlikely. Man, Julius Randle does look real bad.
Oh, fuck him. He's the worst.
And
Yeah.
in that Bucks game yesterday, he was just taking a bunch of bad shots and missing them and then loafing it on defense. That is tough to see. But Brunson's awesome. I do think RJ Barrett is pretty bad. I like Quentin Grimes. They're an interesting... they shouldn't have won a playoff series last year. It was weird that they beat the Cavs. They were not as good of a team. But Brunson is just... He's just excellent, man.
I love Brunson. I love
Brunson.
Brunson.
Some daily fantasy money yesterday, actually. I did a little head-to-head where he was my star or whatever it's called. So that's fun. Yeah. I would like it.
It's not going to happen.
It's not gonna happen. What about... Should I bring up another team or should we save them for future?
Maybe save it for next time.
Okay.
Unless you want to bring up another team?
No, I just want to... I talked about a bunch last time, but I just, I was looking at... past couple of days, I was looking at Lauri Markkanen on the Jazz and wondering what it would take.
I remember when
one more year in his contract for after this year for $18 million. So he's going to have to get paid pretty soon, but
he's awesome.
Not yet. Yeah, he wasn't. And then he was.
So I remember, of course, because he's a tall, goofy white guy, I remember not liking him in YouTube. And then I actually watched him in the NBA, and they said he was going to be the best player in that draft. I was very high on him. It took him a few years to figure it out. But I don't
consider him goofy.
Well, I don't even know who he was. I was watching him for 2 minutes. Tall, lanky, very pale, blah, blah, blah. But as I actually watched him, he is a really, really, really good offensive player. Like, you talk about 3-level scorers. Like, he is that. He's a really good shooter. He can get to the rim. He's athletic. He's a good player. And I think, you talked about Brandon Ingram. I would want Lauri Markkanen 100 times out of 100 over Brandon Ingram. I think he's a much better player than Brandon Ingram.
Yeah, I'd be interested in, he went to Utah and got way more athletic.
That's your trade if you're trading for Lauri Markkanen, because that's every pick you have, I think.
Probably. It's interesting because he went to Utah and he became the number one option in Utah.
Yeah.
Although he has guards in Clarkson and Sexton that take over and don't always look for him and stuff. But the problem he was in Chicago and he didn't look that good. He was in Cleveland. He didn't look that good playing off of those guys. He is exactly what Cleveland needs now. As far as what's the fifth starter with those 5 guys. But they traded him in the Donovan Mitchell trade. I would be interested to know how helpful is he when you scale down his responsibilities?
Right.
Because he's been the number one option in Utah. And now he looks great. Can he still maintain his efficiency and his popping when he's doing a lot of spacing on the floor, which is what he would do a lot of here? He's not an excellent creator for others. That's not his strength. It is I've been thinking about what's the perfect third guy between Maxey and Embiid for a long time. And I hadn't thought about Lauri Markkanen until relatively recently. Last year his points per game went from 14.8 as the, third or fourth guy in Cleveland to 25.6 on better efficiency in Utah.
Yeah.
Was that just a lucky shooting season? He got to the line more. He raised his volume from 3. He shot 39% from 3. He shot 59% on 2s. He was excellent last year. And I wonder if that holds up when you essentially put him in the Tobias spot. I don't know.
Well, but I also think, the question is him on a good team. Do you want more out of him than you want out of Tobias, right? Does he necessarily have to scale down his role all that much in Philadelphia? There are plenty of teams that have, 2 having 3 20-point a game scorers, and 2 being 25 plus, it's not crazy, and if Maxey's leaned more into being point guard type, I don't know. It's not crazy.
No, it's definitely not. Yeah. I mean, it's just right now, and the trade probably wouldn't happen now. I don't know what Utah really wants out of it. They've assembled such an array of picks.
Yeah.
And they made a bunch of those picks last year. And they now have, interesting young players in Keontae George and Bryce Sensabaugh, who I liked a lot in college, Taylor Hendricks, who they picked first out of those guys, Walker Kessler, who they got in the Gobert trade, O'Shea Abaji, who they like but is coming off the bench. Like, really, they don't have a centerpiece guy yet, and so they might think that Markkanen still is that centerpiece guy. Where when his contract expires after next season, they just give him a fat max and see if those other guys can build up around him. I'm not really sure. I'm not sure what they're going to do. They're sort of trying to build from the middle still, where I don't look at any of those players and see like a top 2 player on a championship team yet. But they have a bunch of picks and a bunch of interesting players, so I don't know. If it cost, say it cost for Markkanen, Marcus Morris and all the picks, 4 picks.
Yes.
Well, I guess it'd be 3 during the season, so 3 picks. Marcus Morris, Jaden Springer, and 3 picks.
Yeah, I mean, Markkanen's what, 25?
He is 26.
Yeah. Let's go. I would rather have him than Pascal Siakam. I'd rather have him than OG Anunoby.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really, I would love to know what Daryl's ranking on all those guys would be. You add Levine to that mix.
And if he doesn't stop running from us.
I don't think he's going to answer if we ask him. I find that unlikely.
He can't.
Stop
running, Daryl. Stop running.
The question with Markkanen is like, are you paying for a career year? Or can this level of efficiency be sustained as he becomes, his previous, he had a 64% true shooting percentage last year.
Mm-hmm.
And his previous high was 61.9. And other than that, he hadn't been over 58. And so it's like, that's a jump. That's a big jump. All the numbers last year were way better. And so if that's who he is now, then okay. I wonder if that's real or if it's just a fluky shooting season the way that Julius Randle had a couple years ago in New York.
Let's go to this voicemail. I meant to talk in season tournament. 833 Lickface.
Spike, Mike, and CJ. This is Ali from Baltimore. Currently calling from inside of a porta potty in the middle of a run. Shout out to Spike. Basketball question is, just saw a report about the Sixers winning the in-season tournament. 1, do we give a shit? And 2, do they think they can make it? Non-basketball question. What's the secret to a good hot take? My takes have been cold lately, and I need some sizzle. Thanks. Love the pod.
That definitely sounded like he was inside a porta potty. He was absolutely inside a porta potty. He wasn't lying. I had no idea the in-season tournament games were starting yesterday.
Yeah.
The courts in general.
Fridays in November.
The courts in general are abhorrent. They look like somebody.
Most of them are, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just horrible.
I like the trophy. The trophy is a cool thing. Like that's fine. The jerseys are mostly insane.
Well, the jerseys are the city jerseys. They're not the in-season tournament jerseys.
Those so the city jerseys
are separate things. They're separate things. Yeah.
Indiana's city jersey is so bad. It really is upsetting. Denver's city jersey is so bad. It's just like, guys, I get that this is about money, but can we just give it a rest?
But about money, who's buying these fucking things?
I don't know.
I don't know. And so, all right, in-season tournament, I generally was not opposed or supportive of this. I was like, you know what? When it's happening, I'll probably be into it. Here is my question, though. I was driving home yesterday listening to Ethan's podcast. It was Sharp was on Ethan Strauss's podcast, and they started talking about it starting yesterday. And I had no idea it was starting yesterday. If you're going to do a tournament, just do a tournament over fucking 2 weeks.
Well, I think that this is, they're not trying to mess with the regular season too much. So it's just, these are the games. The games have a theoretically fun court. The courts that are blue are pretty bad. The courts that are red are ghastly.
The Sixers court
ghastly
looks like
red.
a Pelicans court.
Blazers looked bad. The Bulls looked insane, crazy. But So I think just like as far as what matters over the seeding group play, it's just like, okay, this count. They have it in the WNBA also where it's called the Commissioner's Cup, where it's like, okay, these games count toward those standings.
Yeah.
And you don't really have to keep track of it. It's whatever. What is going to be cool, sort of similar to a March Madness style thing, is when 4 teams are in Vegas.
You mean when there's actually a tournament?
When it's actually the tournament. Yeah. So I think this is like the precursor to the tournament, and I wouldn't judge whether there's more juice or interest in it. I think whoever gets to the finals in those among those teams is going to feel cool. It is going to feel special, and it is going to be like, wow, it's fun to have everybody in the same place playing like, Elite 8 style regionals in Vegas. So I'm looking forward to that. I almost don't want the Sixers to be involved in it. I would rather just watch it from a pure perspective. I don't want to weigh how much I care about the Sixers winning a in-season tournament, but then not winning the championship. I don't want to like do that calculation and have to whatever. I just want to watch it from a pure fan perspective of other teams. But if they do win it, then of course it's going to matter. Of course it is of equal importance to the NBA championship.
Yep.
And we will adjust our behavior accordingly.
Yeah, that part of it I won't mind it at all, but this part of it seems a little weird. A couple more. I thought this one is one that I would like your take on specifically. 833 Lickface.
Spike, Mike, CJ, Daryl. Just had a quick question about Jaden Springer. I've been thinking his defense, you see the potential, you see the athleticism there. Offense, he looks incredibly limited and skittish. I'm wondering if you might agree that his absolute ceiling, I'm not saying he's going to get there, his absolute ceiling should be Derek White. Like, I think the coaches should put him in a room and like Stanley Kubrick's Clockwork Orange, make him watch Derek White highlights in terms of being a defensive guard, being a very good shot blocker as a guard, which is what Derek White is one of the best in the league at. I think if Jaden Springer can work on his handle a little bit and work at hitting an open shot, an open three, I think his ceiling could be there. Just want to know what you guys think. Thanks.
What do you think of Derek White as a comp for Jaden Springer?
Well, it is not a comp right now, but as far as
the ceiling comp,
what he should be, absolutely.
Yeah.
I loved Derek White at Colorado. I loved him coming out of the draft. I wanted the Sixers to get him. I think it was a Colangelo draft, so I resent him for not doing that. He's just awesome. And the difference between White right now and Springer now is White is crazy quick.
Yeah.
And sudden. And Springer takes a little while to like load up and get going. I think part of that is like the 2-footed leaping that Springer does. But as far as what his role on the court, making quick decisions, beating closeouts, defending multiple positions, playing off of a real point guard. Derek White is, he played point guard at Colorado just like Springer did at Tennessee, but had to take a backseat, had to take an off-ball role in the NBA. White is still right now he's better at everything right now than Springer is. But as far as what he wants to be, what he should be, what his role in the NBA could be, I mean, that's 100% ideal. 100%. And it's about getting his body and mind like on that level of suddenness, quick decisions, being willing to shoot from three, which obviously took a big leap from last year to this year. I would love it.
And then final voicemail. Oh, no, hold on. Wrong one. 833 Lickface.
Mike and Mike, you cannot show favoritism to Daryl. In that clip you shared in the last pod, he ummed at least a dozen times. If I can't Daryl can't And also there's a philosophical conversation. If I'm intentionally umming, is that getting muted? Have you silenced me in this recording? I don't have a basketball question.
Fair question. Let me make it very clear. I am not involved in this.
No, this is me.
One of the more in 11 seasons, one of the most unhinged things you've done on this podcast.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Was creating a compilation of ums. Absolutely. One of the most unhinged things anyone's ever done on any podcast or in human history.
In fact, I'll get to the Daryl thing in a second. If more people paid attention to my focus, that me shaming the people, all these little podcasts you listen to, they would all be way better. The Zoom calls you're on at work, people would just take a breath, think about what they're going to say, and then say it. But instead, I got to listen to some, not shooting any arrows at anyone in particular, but I got to listen to some exec umming his way through a fucking hour-long Zoom call. Absolutely not. Think about what you're going to say it. Everybody will be better for it. And the fact that everybody's doing podcasts. Look, I'm fine with people doing podcasts without any broadcasting experience whatsoever. God bless you. Awesome. I love it. But at some point, you got to learn how to do it. And if callers got to be subjected the same thing as podcasters. All right. Now, Daryl.
I just wait 1 second.
Yes.
I don't think you can have pet peeves about ums. That I don't think
it's an epidemic.
Is as bad. I don't share your disgust for it, but it was specifically editing them together and then playing them.
Well, I'm the one who has to. No offense.
You don't have to.
I'm glad to do it.
You don't have to, though.
No, here's what I'm going to say that I have to do. I'm glad to do it. Everybody has a different role, but I'm the one who goes through and listens to all the voicemails and picks out the ones that are good. And
I'm saying you don't have to.
But I do, to make the podcast good.
But I'm saying you don't have to. You wanted to do the voicemails, and now you're then saying I'm the one that does the voicemails, and I'm like,
well, I'm the one that does the emails. We need a show rundown. I'm not doing that part of the pod. I'm just saying it's good for the pod. Someone has to listen to it. I'm the one that has to listen to it. The ums got to go.
I think that you gave this responsibility for yourself, and then now you wear the responsibility on your back.
No, the only reason I brought it up was because you were saying that I didn't have to listen to it. Of course I have to listen.
I'm saying we don't have to do voicemails. I was always against the idea of callers calling in.
But God forbid the people who listen to us for years have any voice whatsoever. That wouldn't be successful for us. It hasn't worked in any other platform. But that said, when I listen to the Daryl clips, and I've never listened to him on our podcast, so I don't know if he does it here. I was frightened by the amount of umming he did in that press availability. I didn't edit it out because I didn't want him to sound like he sounded better than he actually did. And I do plan to bring it up to him when he's on the podcast.
Okay.
He's got to get better at it. He's got to slow down. He's got to think about what he's going to say. I understand it's not easy. You don't know what questions you're going to be asked during press availability. It's hard. I know you're a basketball executive. You're not a public speaker. It's part of the job. You got to stop umming so much.
Okay. I'm excited to hear his response. His long filled response. I got a Ben Simmons thing for you.
Oh.
Did you happen to see that in the late game stages of the Nets Bulls game,
when he hit the ball out rather than
he tapped it away? Yeah. So I'll set it up for the listeners.
Yeah.
The Bulls were down 2. Bulls were at the line. I think it was like 3 seconds left. Bulls were at the line, down 2. I didn't watch the whole game. I just saw the clip, but missed free throw. Ben, instead of catching the ball and going down with it and then getting fouled and walking the other way, tapped it out, like volleyball spiked it out. And then it went to Zach LaVine, who
Wide
then
open.
got up a 3, who was pretty open.
Yep.
And took a potentially game-winning 3. Instead of him going to the foul line, Ben risked losing the game on a tip out. I thought it was a pretty insane play, and he continues to not have changed as a basketball player.
It's funny. I've mentioned before, I work with a couple of really big Knicks fans, 3 really big Net fans, Keith, Sean, and Evan Roberts. And Evan came in, and Evan has repeated to me, I don't need him to be an all-star. I just need him to be a functional player. And when I say to him every single game, why didn't he shoot any free throws? He'll go, he really wasn't in position to it, blah, 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 blah.
He's not putting himself in the position.
Yes. I said, Evan, here's the thing. He is 6'10". Even at his decreased athleticism, he is still in the top 20% of athletes in the NBA, and he can handle the ball. He should be getting fouled every
he can handle the ball
play.
in transition. He has never been able to handle the ball in the half court. He has never had half court.
But he should be able
moves.
to get, if he's playing 25 minutes a game, he should be able to shoot 6 free throws by accident.
Absolutely. Of course.
Unbelievable.
He has gotten worse, and it's been for years of this. And it's not just his back, which is obviously an issue, but he was not going to the rim. He does not have the handles to get to the rim. And anytime any team helps onto him on a drive, I want to commit a murder. It's insane. How do I watch more basketball, watch more Ben Simmons than pick a guy? Anybody. For anybody. Then
Any player,
DeAndre Hunter. Why is he doing what is going on? You don't have to double. Just stand in front of him. He will pass it out. And the fact that you're willingly leaving somebody to then create an open passing lane for him is absolutely insane. I don't know how it happens. I don't know how it keeps happening.
Someone in the chat said, Asher says, you're right. Daryl Morey definitely has a lot to learn from you, Spike. Clearly has never gotten anywhere in his career so far. I didn't say he hadn't gotten anywhere in his career.
Here we go.
I'm just saying, Daryl, when true or false, when you say something that is incorrect about something on the Sixers, there's a possibility that Daryl may correct you privately, right? That happens. He corrects people. I speak for a living. Different careers. All right. When are we doing? Are we Wednesday after the Celtics? Is that our next thing? I think we have the Wizards on Monday, and that's the Sixers have the Wizards on Monday, and then we have the pod after the Celtics on Wednesday.
After the Celtics Wednesday.
Just keep winning. Should beat the Wizards. That should be and then is the Wizards game, I think, is an in-season tournament game. No.
I believe it's just
Knicks.
Fridays. It's
so
just Fridays in November.
The Sixers play the Knicks, I think, on Friday. I think that's what it is. Pistons.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
I like the Pistons. They need some shooting, but I like the Pistons. My Pistons. My Pistons, my Magic. My Pistons, my Magic, my Thunder.
How are the Magic this year? I haven't even looked.
Good. Great.
Yeah.
I mean, they struggled a little bit, but
yeah.
Wendell Carter's out for a little bit. There's some good players there. I've been waiting for the Magic leap. And the Pistons leap is, they started 2-1, they lost the last 3, but those are I would say of the league, let me look around. Yeah, those are my 3 teams. The Spurs also very fun to watch. Devin Vassell, I've loved for a while.
He's awesome.
He's the man. He's out with I think an ankle or something. But
of course, I'm a Sohan guy.
Sohan's cool. I mean,
yeah.
Wembanyama is a distinct viewing experience, man. I'm really excited for Wembanyama Embiid. I don't think it's until
fucking Embiid's gonna put
February
that string bean in a locker. You better.
End of January. Sixers Spurs. He's awesome.
French string bean. Put him in a fucking locker.
He's really fun. He's really good. He's really very good.
We will talk to you Wednesday night. Are you down with
good?
The Sixers are good.
Sixers are good. Basketball's good. Harden's gone. Nick Batum is somewhere in around the Mississippi River. It's coming. We're doing.
Talk to you next time. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah, Lake Face.